Welcome back to the Conversations with Friends podcast. I'm your host, Bree. Every week, I have the necessary conversations with different friends about different walks of life. This week, I wanted to discuss the comforts and discomforts that are associated with seeking help from a healthcare provider. This week, I have someone that is a special guest to me. I call her Dr. T, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit about what you do.
Well, Bree, thank you so much for having me on to talk
You're
about
welcome.
necessary conversations. And I am a medical physician. I am board certified in family medicine, and I am the owner and CEO of Your Total Health Clinic and Day Spa right here in Houston, Texas, serving the Third Ward area and the surrounding areas. And we are a gym in the city. So I'm so excited to be here. This is my passion, educating on health and wellness. So let's get it.
All right. So first, I wanted to start off with doing a little icebreaker. It's just a quick game of this or that just to get us loose and flowing. All right. Morning or night?
Night.
Would you rather have more time or more money?
More time.
Movie theater or Netflix?
Movie theater.
Target or Walmart?
Target.
Every time. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Okay. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Would you rather be admired for your good deeds or respected for your power?
Admired for my good deeds.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Fried or baked?
Baked.
That's the right one to say. I myself would go with fried.
Right.
Live music or a DJ?
DJ.
Okay, I done seen you party.
Yes.
DJ all day. Uno or spades?
Uno.
Okay. I'm a spades girl.
My husband is a spades guy.
Yeah.
So we on the total opposite. On that one. Yeah. Uno it is.
Would you rather change your past or know your future?
That's a good one. Can I choose neither or I have to choose one? I guess
It's up to you.
know my future, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I wanted to start off by just digging a little deeper about who you are, what you do exactly. I know that you own Your Total Health Clinic and Day Spa, and I just wanted you to tell a little bit more about what your clinic and spa does and your mission for your business.
Absolutely. So our space it's multifunctional. So we have a clinic where we do all things medical health. My passion is women's health, but I'm trained to see everyone. So we do everything from well woman examinations to chronic disease prevention and treatment. We do some mental health, and then we also have a full service lab. We do imaging on site, and then we also have a full service spa with facials, massages, all the good things. And then finally, we also are a clinical research site. So we had a lot of everything, and I love it because you just got to pull up.
I was just going to say, I just need a park. Come and park and spend the day with you. So I also saw that you're now working with Texas Southern University. Can you explain a little bit about what you're doing there?
Absolutely. So I do want to just say this. So I always wanted to go to a HBCU, and it just didn't happen. My plan, y'all, I'm from Chicago, and I know I said I like summer best, but I am a Chicago girl born and raised, and I came to Houston to do my residency here. And so prior to that, I told my mom, I'm like, I want to go to Xavier. Like, that's where I want to go. She's a single mom. She was like, yep, if you go to Louisiana, you're going to be stuck. And I was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. So I ended up going to school in Iowa, go figure, for a ride. And so now I say that because being at TSU, Texas Southern University, is a full circle moment for me, that I am able to be on an HBCU campus practice, but not only that, but to be able to provide health care and public health to the students and the staff. And so I absolutely love it. And this is new, so I'm still cultivating my position. But yeah, so I'm basically at the Student Health Center seeing the students and staff if they need it.
Well, that's exciting.
It is.
So why did you choose Third Ward as your home for your practice?
I love that. So actually, Third Ward is home for me, and Third Ward is home for my practice. And Third Ward, actually, because of the rich Black culture that's there, the community, I literally, as I'm coming this way, I had to go down OST past Martin Luther King Drive, and everybody is out. Party. The cars are out. The music is playing. It's peaceful. And so for me, Third Ward was what truly reminds me of home. And then it's also the sense of community, right? So we have, one of the only Black banks in Third Ward. Like I wanted to be, there's a doctor who is retired now, Dr. Edith Irby Jones. And so she was the Black doctor of the community. And so although her shoes are really big to fill, I feel like that's what my niche is, to be the Black doctor of the community, the doctor of the community, to bring evidence-based, excellent, high-level care to the community.
I know that's right. Come
Thank
on,
you.
Black excellence. So why did you choose medicine to begin with?
Oh, why did I choose medicine to begin with? So, going back to when I was a teenager, so I did not know that I was going to be a doctor when I was like 3, right? But when I was a teenager, at that time, teenage pregnancy was really prevalent, and so I'm like, I want to be able to combat that. So what does that look like? And I wasn't for sure what it looked like, but until I went for my teen health appointment with my doctor, and she was a Black woman. And this is a funny story. My mother is passed away last February. But when we went, she's a consummate single mom. So we went to see this doctor, and the doctor's like, okay, ma'am, I hear your concerns for your daughter. Now I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Oh my God.
Straight up.
Straight up. Look, my mother sent it up. She has never been one to miss her words. She sent it up, and eventually she left out. And when she left out, the doctor had a straight up conversation with me about my sexual health, my wellness, if I wanted birth control, if I needed condoms, if I ever had any concern about my vaginal health or anything, that I am free to come and see her. And that is when a light bulb went off. And I was like, I want to be like that when I grow up. And that's when I decided that I wanted to be a doctor.
And that's nice. And so it was nice also too that your doctor made you feel comfortable to talk to her and express everything to her. Well, also January is National Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I wanted to ask you, in regards to cervical cancer, how does one go about getting tested?
I love it. So women's health, I love, y'all, I get excited about this. And people are like, you okay with looking at vaginas all day? And I'm like, yeah. Because I'm a professional. So this is more about anatomy. It's more about health. It's more about balance. It's all about the physiology for me. And so when I think about that, it's it gets me so excited. So I love this. So with cervical cancer testing, that is actually, I don't think a lot of people know this, that is actually the pap smear. And so the pap smear, you all, is cervical cancer screening. And so we certainly do check for sexually transmitted infections, but a lot of the cervical cancers are tied to a sexually transmitted virus called the human papillomavirus. And for now, we're just going to call it HPV because I know that's long, right?
Right.
So it's HPV. And so when we do the pap smear, we're actually taking cells from the cervix, which is at the bottom part of the uterus where babies come out. We take those cells and send them to a doctor called a pathologist who looks at them under a microscope and says, hey, these look abnormal. These don't look like your usual healthy cells. And so then going forward, you may have to have a repeat pap, or you may have to have a biopsy, or you may have to have a procedure where we remove those precancerous, meaning they're not cancerous yet, but we need to get those out. So you may have to have a procedure to have those removed out. But the pap smear is actually cervical cancer screening. And I also want to mention that the HPV virus can also be oral, so it can also cause oral cancers as well. So it's important to follow up on that too.
What you say? I learned something new. So is cervical cancer something that's a cancer that's common
Is it?
in
Yes,
women?
it's yes. Cervical cancer is common, and so and a lot of times because women, for whatever reason, whether it's so many things that can hinder a woman from getting her pap smear. One being it could be social economic, meaning not being able to afford to get a pap smear,
Hmm.
or just the fear of it, or maybe not the knowledge that this is a cancer screening. So a lot of times it's found late, and
Yeah.
it can be found early. And I do want to say this too, for moms, for my college students, high school students, a pap smear is not necessary until age 21.
Mm.
Now, don't misunderstand me though. It is that's the pap smear that's taking the cells, but you
Hmm.
can get a pelvic examination
Right.
where we check for gonorrhea, we check for chlamydia, we check and make sure everything looks okay. So that's okay to get before the age of 21, but the actual pap smear is not until the age of 21.
And that's something good to know because I know when I was coming up, I thought that the pap smear was what I was getting since I was like 15, 16.
Yeah.
I didn't know that that was the screening for cervical cancer until like a few years ago because I don't know, nobody ever differentiated the two from me.
Yeah, yeah. So we found that like if you're 15 or 16, the likelihood that your cells are going to change that quickly is very small.
Hmm.
And so we don't want to go around just doing biopsies on
Yeah.
teenagers and like just so that the way that the virus lives and it works, that causes the changes in the cells, it takes a long time.
Hmm.
So it's no need to have an actual pap smear at 15 or 16, but that's what we were doing before.
Is it common in a particular demographic?
So yes, so cervical cancer, unfortunately, when we start talking about health statistics, it can be so depressing.
Right.
That African American women are disproportionately affected by cervical cancer, but it goes back to what I said earlier, where it may just be that we don't know, we're afraid, or maybe we don't feel like maybe we don't have the resources or don't know the resources to get a pap smear.
Yeah. Makes sense. And I was going to ask you, is it a progressive disease?
Hmm. Absolutely. So when we talk about getting a pap smear, early on, we're looking at screening. So we're looking at before anything happens or before anything changes. So
Hmm.
then there's just some abnormal cells.
Hmm.
And then those can progress to low grade cells. Those can progress to high grade cells. And then beyond that, it can progress to cancer. So
Hmm.
it is progressive.
Okay. And is it preventable and can you get rid of it once you do have it?
So it is preventable. I'm
Hmm.
glad you asked. That's why you see these commercials with the HPV vaccination, and that's for boys and girls.
Hmm.
And they can start getting them as young as 10 or 11 years old. I did have my son get the HPV vaccination. So there's that. And then believe it or not, condoms.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, 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 ding. If you're sexually active, one of the ways to help prevent the transmission of the HPV virus and other sexually transmitted infections is using condoms.
And so the HPV vaccine, when I was coming up, I feel like they only offered it to boys at first. Is that
It was
true?
girls.
It was only girls?
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was only boys, but I then learned something again. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the topics. I had some listeners write in and give us some different things that they wanted to ask and talk about. This one first was a statement. Someone wrote in and just said, "A doctor's job is to make money off of sickness." How do you feel about that as a doctor?
Ooh, stab me in the heart, hit me with a hard one, though, straight up. that is it's sad to me.
Hmm.
That people think that doctors want to capitalize off of their sickness.
Hmm.
For me personally, and I have to speak for myself, I believe in wellness.
Yeah.
So if we can start you out well and keep you well, that's amazing.
Right.
If we can reverse some things so that you are well, I love it. But then there's times where you're at a point where it's hard to get back. It's going to be hard, if not impossible, to get you back to wellness. And so I'll give you an example with diabetes. There's pre-diabetes. So no diabetes, pre-diabetes. If we catch you at pre-diabetes, we can reel that on back in. If we catch you at early diabetes, we can reel that on back in. But if we catch you in the late stages of diabetes and your eyes are messed up, your heart is messed up, your nerves are messed up, it's going to be hard to bring that back in.
Yeah.
We can try try with lifestyle changes and everything. But at this point, really, it's medicine. And y'all, do y'all know as doctors all the work we do and how much we really truly get paid? Now, if you're looking at like a plastic surgeon or anesthesiologist, they do make the big bucks, right? But those of us that are in primary care, we don't make the big bucks, y'all. I got a spa. I got all kind of stuff.
All type of jobs.
all type of jobs and contracts to make this work. So I hate to hear that. And I did want to say this too, so I'm not remiss on your previous question about HPV, that is it curable? So the virus actually can be cleared out the body over time. So sometimes it's recommended that you get a repeat pap smear, and then all of a sudden the virus is gone. So it can be cured. The body can clear it out. I did want to say that. But y'all, we are not, at least I'm not in the business of capitalizing off of people's sickness.
Keeping you sick.
And I personally love my people. So I don't want to see you sick.
Right.
You know, when I have my patients, you're like my grandmother, you're like my mother, you're like my homegirl. You're somebody that my uncle, my dad, that I care about and I want to see well and win. So
I get that.
Yeah.
So why do you think that people are uncomfortable seeing doctors, like on a regular basis?
Yeah. So I think that people are uncomfortable seeing doctors on a regular basis because you might find something out.
Yeah.
And then when you find something out, it's like, when you know better, you're supposed to do better. And a lot of times it's hard to do better. It's hard to know, okay, I have this diagnosis and now what do I do? And if I don't do anything, then it's kind of on me, right? I hear people say all the time, oh, it wasn't nothing wrong until I went to the doctor.
To see the doctor.
Listen, we just found it.
Okay.
We just found it. It was already there and brewing. And hopefully we find it early. But I think that's a part of it. And then, of course, I can't leave this out specifically for Black people. There is a distrust of the medical system. And I get it. We've been used and poked and prodded and abused and all kind of stuff. Some people do go into the hospital. Moms go in the hospital, deliver a baby, and they don't come out.
Yeah.
So I think those are some of the reasons why, and I get it. And so that's why I said we gotta find doctors who, because y'all get this. Going back to what the person said about us being like capitalizing off of sickness. Well, at the same time, you're a customer, right? You're a patient, but you're a customer. So you get to choose, like with whatever your insurance is or not, but you get to choose who sees you. You get to choose who the doctor is. If you feel like you're not getting the answers that you need or the doctor is not listening, it's no problem with going to get another one or getting a second opinion. And then I'm very like force bias. Like nobody else is going to me. Nobody else is going to take care of us like us.
Exactly. Or even just relate to what we're going through.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So somebody said, sometimes I'm embarrassed to talk about certain things with my doctor or ask certain things because of the fear of being judged. How can I get past this?
Okay, I like that. Let me take a sip because that's a great
question. One, huh?
Mm-hmm. All right. So how do we get past the fear of being judged? Well, it's kind of like when I talked about earlier, like people are like, oh, you see vaginas all day? Like literally, we could be in a room with 100 people. My patients are in the room. They are in the room. You will never know.
Yeah.
You will absolutely never know that they're my patients, right? And so I say that because to be able to get over that, you have to know that the doctor that you're seeing is professional. That we're not there to judge, but we also need, this is real important, y'all. We also need the information, right? We need the information from you. We don't know personally, what you're going through, what you're feeling, what you're doing. And so we need that information so that we can integrate it with all of this knowledge that we have, book knowledge, right? Yeah. So we take that book knowledge and put it together with what you're telling us is going on and then make a joint decision making for your health.
Right. Makes sense. This one is funny. So someone wanted to know how accurate is Google, because I always go to Google for my health scares.
Google gonna have you dead, right? Google gonna have you are not gonna live for like.
I self-diagnose myself all the time on Google, but I do follow up with a doctor, and I try to see, did I come up with the right thing? Sometimes I didn't put myself in the grave, and sometimes
not. So Google is not, you cannot use that, because think about this. Like what I just said, everybody's situation is different. Everybody's body is different. Everybody's DNA is different, right? So that cookie cutter answer may not be pertaining to you at all.
Yeah. Yep. So, next question. I've been wanting to ask my doctor to check my sperm count to see if I'm able to reproduce. And that was just a statement. I guess they might be a little hesitant to ask. So I guess maybe let them know how they can.
Okay, yeah. So easing into that question, especially if that's your main concern, just say, hey, I want to check and see if I will be able to conceive. They know what that means. Or if I'm able to have babies, they know what that means. You don't have to say, hey, I want you to check my sperm count, my motility. Like you don't have to do that. And there are places where that's all they do. So they're not like confused, or they're gonna be like, oh, like
that's
what?
Regular.
It's regular. It's just okay, just go give us the sperm and let us analyze it. Yeah, get it over with.
And I guess it also goes back to you feeling comfortable enough to talk to your doctor. It's just finding the right doctor, y'all.
It's finding the right
person that you can relate to, that you can be open to, because they want to help us.
They do. We do. They do. We do. We want to help.
So someone had to answer me a question, I'm sorry, about cervical cancer. How early should you be screened for cervical cancer? And is it different for Black women?
So age 21. And no, it's not different for Black women. Because of the way, if you're let's say you had sex at 14, for example, and you were exposed to the virus, we won't start to see changes for about 10 years. So doing the pap smear at 21 kind of gives us an idea if there's any changes going on at that time. And no, it's not different for Black women.
Okay. I had a listener to write in and just give her testimony in regards to cervical cancer. I'm going to just read what she said.
Okay.
She said, it's never too early. I'm actually a cervical cancer survivor. I had it at the age of 18 and was supposed to get a hysterectomy and was told I couldn't have children. God has been good to me. I was able to get it removed. 2 years later, I had my first child. It was a challenge, but I got through it. I just think young women should stay on top of their health, because you just never know.
I 100% agree.
And God is good, child. He had them children.
Yes, had them children.
So, let me see. We got any more topics here? We went through that a little fast, child. Okay. Oh, one more. Do you have any suggestions for balancing hormones for women in their birthing years besides birth control?
So balancing hormones. So I'm thinking that they're talking about like their testosterone, their estrogen. This is what I'm thinking that they're speaking of. And so that's like a Google question, right? So everybody is different. So if you have if you're concerned about your hormones just in the overall perspective, I'll give you an example. Lifestyle, it makes a huge difference. Exercise and not eating too much fatty foods, and I'll explain why. Because our hormones are made by the fat that's in our bodies, right? That's because they're fat soluble, meaning they are made only of fat, right? So we have our fat content in our body, for example, and we're breaking down the hormones. So our hormones start out with basically male hormones, and they break down into female hormones and male hormones. And so that gives us our sex drive. That gives us like our menstrual cycles. For some people, it might cause you to have facial hair if it's out of whack. And so one way to prevent that, so you don't have a whole bunch of male hormones build up, because at some point you're not going to make as much estrogen, is to keep your fat, your body fat down, because your body is using that to make hormones.
Okay. I saw something the other day. it was a post on Instagram that said, "How come y'all didn't tell me about this sex drive issue once I start going to the gym every day?" I guess they work out every day now and their sex driving went away. What's up with that?
Really?
And then I saw all the comments was just flooding. It was like, child, that's me too. Like everybody was in agreement.
That's interesting because typically the more you exercise, the more you ovulate. That means the more you're heated. So that's interesting that
That is interesting.
So I also wonder too if they're burning off so much energy, they're burning off so much of their body fat, right? That their hormone levels aren't to the point where it's garnering their sex drive, which can happen too.
So, question: you said the more you work out, the more you ovulate. So we don't ovulate just once a month.
We do.
Okay.
But the ovulation is revved up.
Okay.
So you're going to ovulate more. It's going to be
fertile.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. For real. Let me tell you, I was, so my kids are like 13 and 8. And with that 8-year-old, I was the fittest I had ever been in my life. I had competed in fitness competition and everything. So I think I'm doing the thing. I'm doing it. Okay, I'm fine. Baby, I went to go get my birth control. And the doctor was like, we ain't gonna be able to prescribe you birth control. I said, excuse me? She was like, your pregnancy test was positive. Oh, excuse me? Okay. And so I was talking to one of my OB friends and she was like, girl, you know, when you exercising and you know your body is fit, you ovulate, your ovulation is hyped up. I said, oh my God, didn't nobody tell me that. And I'm a doctor.
Tell me nothing.
Tell me nothing. And thank God for my kids, Jackson and Jazz. But girl, yeah.
Child, well, you know that's what happens when you marry.
Listen, took over my whole little body.
Married and looking good. So that's it for our topics for today. I wanted to close this out with asking you, who is your inspiration?
Who is my inspiration? I love that. I would have to say Michelle Obama, Chicago. Woo-hoo. And we went to the same high school, not at the same time, but yes. And so she's so graceful, so freaking intelligent, and such a humanitarian. Like you can tell that her heart and her spirit is genuine. Like she really does care about the people. And so I love that about her. And then not only that, so she's so dope. Like she's so fashionable. Like I'm like,
baby,
girl,
her fashions be on point.
The fashions be on point. And then if you can pull Mr. Barack, honey,
baby, you doing something. That's funny. That was my inspiration the first episode in this podcast. I said the same thing. I like how she is she just stands in who she is and she stays herself no matter, you know, what environment that she's in. And she's very a good mother. You know, it seems like she's very like hands-on with them and knows what's going on. And the same for her husband. And I just love her.
Yes.
Who do you seek to inspire?
Who do I seek to inspire? I seek to inspire women, ages like 16 up to young women up to like 40s, 50s to, just go out and do you, boo. Like, and all the things that, you know, make you feel healthy, make you feel well, make you feel good. Do it. And so that's who I hope to inspire by my life. Because I'm very much thank God I got a husband who be like, all right, he called it keeping up with Teriya.
Cause you be on the move, honey. I call her Miss Booked and busy. busy in books, okay?
Yes. And so, everything is not going to always be equal all the time, but you can have your love life. You can have your kids or not, or you can care for an ailing parent, or you can have your career, or you can say, hey, you know what? I decided I want to learn this, or I want to go back to school. Like all the things, like there's no limit. And so I hope that my life and sharing my life on social media inspires women, young women, and middle-aged women that say, hey, I can do this. Like whatever I want to do, I can do it.
Well, I normally answer these questions every week, but I feel like it's the same, especially for the last two questions. But my answer for the first question, who is my inspiration, was going to be you. So you're doing the right thing.
Oh, well, thank you.
I mean, I've watched you like birth your clinic and spa from start to finish. I've seen you not only do that, but you hold other roles and you still show up for your kids. You're very present with them, very present with your husband. And I know you've been through like some downs during this journey of getting all of this off the ground, but you also have had awesome ups. And I just feel like you exude grace and positivity all the time.
Well,
you like
thank
this
you.
all the time.
Listen, even when I'm running to get with you, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like,
Yes.
hey girl.
But always in good spirits. And it never feels like, I know we probably, to the world, you can make it seem like you're just doing it all and you're just doing it with grace. And I know sometimes you can go home and probably feel like, oh, I'm tired. But I can never tell. The people can never tell. It just looks like you're doing it well.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, y'all. I go to sleep typically at 10 o'clock. I am in the bed. They can all be up. The guys, they could be up watching football. I am going 10 o'clock. Typically, I'm in the bed.
Yeah. I need to work on it. What's one thing you can do to get closer to that place of impact that you're seeking?
I love that. I think, and I know I am booked and busy, but I think being more strategic about where I'm showing up. So that maybe now more of an advocate and maybe more in the, I'm not going to say politics, but more in the advocacy, like it for maternal and fetal health, like trying to help change policy and things like that. I think that will be kind of the next space that I need to be in to impact the way I want to.
Okay. Well, it seems like you know where you're going and where you're headed, girl. Well, I want to thank you for joining me this week. Thank you for being so open to talk about your mission and answering these people's questions that we have. I also want to thank you guys for joining me every week. I want to make sure that you guys are subscribed to my YouTube channel, The Conversation with Friends Pod. Follow my Instagram page as well at The Conversations with Friends _pod. And make sure you tune in every Monday at 7 a.m. That's when the episodes drop. Make sure you're liking and commenting. And you can also stream it on your favorite podcast streaming platform. But until next week, we out. Peace.
Peace out.